Claudio's back. Do you check me already here? All right.
Trying to kill him before he has a title defense.
Well, to be fair, if I've been killed by a cord. Ooh, is this for the title?
What a first four for this man.
There we go.
How about the first four matches?
I don't think Jay White knows how to do this. I do, so there we go.
Oh,
did I just go there?
Funny.
Yes, I did.
Very funny.
This is brilliant.
Thank you. Thanks,
Ready? I'm going to start with Nick. Jim?
Sorry.
Claudio, Nick Hausman, Wrestling Inc. Congratulations on your title win here. This is your first World Championship win. It is in Ring of Honor. What kind of a champion do you see yourself being in Ring of Honor?
A great one. This is my first World Championship, and I said this before. I could be here and tell you guys all what I'm going to do and this and that. I feel like there's a lot of people that talk a lot. I like to let my actions speak. So it's going to be a hell of a run. Hope you guys are ready.
Hi, my name is Jishelle. I'm with Russell Purist, I See Scoops, and Late Night Grin. And I just want to talk about that moment. We saw the look on your face, like all of that disbelief. Can you take us through what was going through your head during that moment when you saw all the confetti flying down and they're wrapping the championship around your waist?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, the years of hard work and that moment. I actually just talked to Tony about that on the way up here. That I had a hell of a run in this first month. It was like Forbidden Door, Blood and Guts, Fyter Fest, and now Death Before Dishonor. So I think that's, I would say, like a Hall of Fame or like an all-star
Mount
first
Rushmore,
month. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Mount
Like of things, and that, to top it off with my first World Championship. What made me so happy is the reaction of everybody. To me, wrestling is about the fans. It's about the interactiveness. It's about feeding off the energy, and that's what's always been so much fun. And to hear the crowd, to see it, and then I just wanted to take it all in and just soak it in, because no need to rush. Just sit there and enjoy it. I waited for a long time, so yeah, just wanted to enjoy it, and it was amazing.
Hi guys, Jesse Collings with WrestleNomics. Claudio, speaking of those first four matches that you've had between AEW and Ring of Honor, do you feel like you have more freedom to work in different styles in AEW and Ring of Honor than you maybe did in WWE?
Is that a rhetorical question, or do you actually want me to answer that? Yes, very short. Yes, I've had so much fun here. It feels like I've been here for years. It feels like this is the place that I'm supposed to be at. All the matches I've had were so different, which is, for me, that's a lot of fun. Like, styles make matches, and to have that challenge and to have that freedom to express yourself in the ring, on the microphone, everything is just, it's a gift. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to represent Ring of Honor as the world champion. So yes, I love it, and I have a lot more freedom, and I'm enjoying it.
Claudio and Tony, first of all, Tony, congratulations on all the success here tonight in Lowell, Massachusetts, Death Before Dishonor. Claudio, a lot of professional wrestling history in this city. Two-part question for you first, Claudio, to open the pay-per-view. World title match set the tone for the show. Mm-hmm. And Tony, what was behind the thinking of that to open the pay-per-view with the world title match?
Well, it was a great match on that. To answer your question, I thought would be setting a tone, creating a great moment, a great opportunity for a classic match to kick the show off. And of course, with 2 out of 3 falls, it made sense to, as we said, at least consider putting that up as one of the double main events. So we did a double main event to open and close the show. And as Ian explained on the commentary, it was a coin flip, and the 2 out of 3 falls was what went. Normally, the world title match is always at least in consideration, and as it was here. So it was a double main event to open and close the show. with a world title match and a 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag team title. Both great main event matches, both great world title results.
Yeah. It was kind of a throwback to see, because back in the day when I was in the Ring of Honor before, many moons ago, it was such a stacked roster, just like it is today, that you can have a tag team title match as the main event, and it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, like, you guys have seen that match, 2 out of 3 falls match was absolutely amazing, right? It was so much fun to watch. It was incredible. So there's no question, right? You have the TV title, you have the pure title, you have obviously the world title. So, even back then, the Briscoes were still around there. So it was okay. You can have the tag titles in the main event, or you can have the world title, and it just kind of it flows, whatever makes sense, whoever wins the coin flip, and that just speaks for the product itself, and that just speaks for the level of competitiveness and the level that the tag team wrestling is at here in Ring of Honor and AEW, and I think that's a credit to the brand.
Graham Matthews with the Bleacher Report. For the last 10 plus years, you've known among fans amongst the most underrated, underappreciated performers out there. And becoming Ring of Honor World Champion, in your opinion, obviously this might be a fan question, but in your opinion, does this put that conversation to rest, or does it not, because you still have so much more to prove as the Ring of Honor World Champion?
First of all, I feel like we're all fans, right? And that's something to be proud of. Because I just watched the matches today, just because it's fun, That's why we are wrestling fans, all of us, and that's how I think what we should be in our heart, because it's more fun to enjoy it that way. I don't know if I was really underappreciated, because I feel the fans were always in my corner. They always appreciated me. So I always had them on my side, which made me very happy. And I feel that's why I'm where I'm at today. That's where I hold this. So will this put the debate to rest? I don't know. That's a question for the people debating it. For me, I've said that before. This is just the beginning. Like, anytime you reach a new height in your career, you always have two choices. You can either say, okay, this is great, this is where I sit down and rest, or you can be like, this is where the hard work just starts, and I have to, pick up my game. I have to get better. I have to improve at this, I have to do that. And I feel that's how I always approach life. You're happy with where you're at. I'm extremely ecstatic to be the Ring of Honor World Champion, but I also understand that there comes a responsibility with it, and there comes expectation with it, and I'm ready, to step it up. So, yeah.
How's it going, Claudio? Liam Crowley with comicbook.com. Tonight, obviously winning the Ring of Honor World title, your first world title in your career. You're 2 months after debuting with the company at Forbidden Door. Would you say that this is your brass ring moment?
What is a brass ring moment? If somebody can find that out and explain it to me, that would be amazing. I mean, it's definitely an awesome moment, and I feel life and wrestling is all about moments, right? And how you seize them, how you act in them, and how you succeed in the good ones and in the bad, because that's the journey, right? And everything I did in my life and in my career led up to this. So if that's a brass ring, I would say the first month was kind of, a brass ring moment, because it was one of those like, okay, how do you replace arguably one of the best wrestlers in history in Bryan Danielson, right? So then it was like, okay, I got to step up, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you know what, I kind of want to, you know what I mean? So it's to be that and be able to pull that off, and then going to blood and guts for 60 minutes. You know what I mean? So it was like, to me, that was like, okay, this is great, because this is a fantastic challenge. So if this is the culmination of my brass ring month, I think that's a really good one.
Justin Barrasso, Sports Illustrated. Question for each of you. Tony, was the original plan? I thought in there were injuries at Forbidden Door to kind of necessitated Claudio wrestling on that card. Was the original plan to debut him tonight? And for Claudio, in order to win the belt and have it mean anything, you got to beat somebody special. Jonathan Gresham, one of the hallmarks of your career has been you've done things your way. He's the same way. I think Jonathan's so talented if you wouldn't mind touching on what you respect most about him.
It is like you said. It's this title has had such a long history of guys keeping it alive, and when the future was uncertain for Ring of Honor, he did that. He kept the Ring of Honor World Title alive. So I respect that a lot about him.
And I have to say, it was the original plan. Yeah, it was originally, he was going to debut here, and it would have been a different build to the pay-per-view than what we did. And I think in a way that, everything worked out perfectly. You saw tonight the announcement that Bryan Danielson's back. He's going to return to the ring at Fight for the Fallen on Wednesday against Daniel Garcia, who also had a great showing here tonight, which I'll touch on in a moment, against Wheeler Yuta, the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, also Claudio's stablemate in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Hell
so
yeah.
originally my vision when we spoke was that Claudio was going to come back and be at Ring of Honor, and he would debut, and it would be a mystery wrestler. And I think there would have been a lot of anticipation for who it was going to be, but I also think that it would have been a great delivery. And I honestly think that, if the fans had gotten drawn to the possibility of who could be associated with Ring of Honor, who is a name that is so important to the history of Ring of Honor, and also was certainly, I believe, the best free agent wrestler in the world, then I believe it would have been a lot of fans assuming, hoping, wishing, wanting to see it be Claudio. But things changed. And I also knew when we spoke, there was a possibility that he would come in as the alternate, replacing Bryan Danielson as Zack Sabre Jr.'s opponent at Forbidden Door, and also replacing Bryan Danielson in the Blood and Guts match. And so everything's worked out great. Bryan Danielson's cleared. He hasn't wrestled since Anarchy in the Arena. He's been rehabilitating, taking it easy. We've been conservative, and we're really excited to have him back. And he's excited to get back in the ring against Daniel Garcia. And of course, it was just a great debut. And as Claudio said, as we were walking in, we talked about how amazing it is to have his first 4 matches be Forbidden Door against Zack Sabre Jr., 2 of the greatest wrestlers in the world, one-on-one at Forbidden Door at the United Center for his debut match, and then to go right into the Blood and Guts, where he got the result and became a big hero and huge spotlight in one of the most important AEW television shows of the year, following up on the pay-per-view days later, then coming back at Fyter Fest and wrestling his former tag team partner Jake Hager in a great match at another one of our biggest TV shows of the year, Fyter Fest, and then coming in at Death Before Dishonor as the champion. So it's a different path, but a great path. And now Claudio is the world champion. Death Before Dishonor was a huge success, and Bryan Danielson's back, and everyone's here. And speaking of the Blackpool Combat Club, and I mentioned the great match earlier, Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta for the Pure Championship. Here is the Pure Champion, Wheeler Yuta.
We need to have a cool handshake for the Blackpool Combat Club.
I thought it was the Top Gun.
It is the Top Gun. Yeah, we got that. That's right. If you have more room.
He already made the Jay White joke before he walked in.
Good evening, Mr. Khan, Wheeler, and Claudio. Mr. Khan, for all intents and purposes, this is your first ever show for Ring of Honor that you were able to conceive from beginning to end, start to finish. Can you just tell us a little bit about the difference between a Ring of Honor show that you've had some time to plan out versus, say, an AEW pay-per-view? Get a little different mindset that goes in. Can you tell us the difference?
Well, a lot of differences. I think from a business standpoint, we presented it at a different platform with Bleacher Report, tied it in. Now there's a association between Warner Brothers Discovery and Ring of Honor for the first time, which is, I think, great for the Ring of Honor brand. I know from experience, is also the owner and CEO of AEW. And also it's been great utilizing AEW and AEW utilizing Ring of Honor, having great wrestlers who represent both companies coming both ways, stars from AEW here in Ring of Honor, stars from Ring of Honor in AEW, and also having some of the champions from Ring of Honor and some of the moments that set up this pay-per-view appearing in AEW, but also having the pay-per-view on Bleacher Report was a big success. I know for sure that it is going to be one of the 3 biggest pay-per-views in the over 20-year history of Ring of Honor. And it's even higher than Supercard of Honor, which was already one of the 3 biggest. So now there are 2 that we've done, or 2 of the 4 biggest of all time. along with Supercard at Madison Square Garden and the All In. Those would be the top 4 buys. And this is also in the top 4 attendance, and it is the highest attendance ever for a Ring of Honor show that is not at WrestleMania weekend. And so it is pretty great. And we have great champions, and now you see somebody who is, I think, had great history in both companies, and somebody who's new to AEW has great history in Ring of Honor, and it's really special. And the Blackpool Combat Club now transcends pro wrestling, truly.
All the gold. All the gold.
Congrats.
James Stewart, 98.5 The Sports Hub here in Boston. How you guys doing? Congratulations on your championship victories. At the end of the pay-per-view tonight, there was a standoff between the Blackpool Combat Club and FTR. Is that a dynamite match in Worcester? Is that a future pay-per-view match? Where is that story going? And is the Blackpool Combat Club going for all of the gold?
Well, I'm not sure when it'll happen, but I'm sure that is a collision course that we're definitely on now. Obviously, FTR, in my opinion, is the best tag team in the world, but there's a reason that we have the Ring of Honor World Championship, the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and Claudio and I have never tagged, so who's to say that we're not going to be the best tag team in the world? So I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah. That's the fun part, right? It's all the possibilities.
Hi, Jay Shell again. Like you guys just said, you guys have a lot of gold now. You guys would normally be dripped in blood.
You beat me with a roll up.
Hey, man, I beat you with a wrestling move.
You beat me with a roll up. You said that you were going to take me down to the canvas and embarrass me. You didn't tap out. You didn't embarrass me, man.
No, you're not embarrassed. I have this title right here. You don't.
I'm not even hurt, man.
Yeah.
Roll up.
Yeah. All right.
I thought you guys were violent.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were violent.
Yeah, sorry, I can't hear you.
You're clearly
I can't hear you.
embarrassed.
What? Get out of here, fanny pack.
I think you embarrassed him if he's coming up like that. You know?
When I beat Brian, it's going to be worse than a roll up. I might send him on vacation with his family again.
No. Oh, yeah?
Send him on vacation to work on his
Hey,
garden a little bit.
hey, I'll see you Wednesday.
Really?
Hey, Danny.
You going to pin me again?
Hey.
You just going to put my shoulder?
Hey, I got a microphone. You don't, all right? So get out of here. Get your ass out of here.
Come on, Danny. Come on, Danny. Come on.
This is embarrassing. Oh, yeah? That's it? All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a very great match, Daniel. Thank you. Great match. Thank you, Daniel.
Good work, Daniel. Real close.
Careful. Very, very,
Maybe next time,
very
pal.
careful. Very,
See you
very
Wednesday.
careful who you're calling out here. You didn't embarrass me. You put me with a roll up. He's almost crying, isn't he? Sorry. I thought it was a great roll up.
Oh, thank you.
It was a great match. It was a great match. And you guys have had a great rivalry across pro wrestling, a lot of great matches, different companies. And I think, you can't deny that you guys have had great matches. And he, no matter what you think of what he just came in and what said, I think he's a great wrestler. So
Tremendous wrestler.
thanks for,
And
I'm
no
looking forward
problems.
to
thank you
seeing
for
him and
restraining
Brian.
yourself.
No problems with him as a wrestler. It's just him as a human being. Terrible to deal with.
It seems like only known him for a month, but I'm looking forward to him and Brian. I'll tell you that much.
Doesn't get better.
Yeah, it's a
Doesn't
cool
get better.
story. I mean, it's really great to have Danielson in his comeback match. I think, that's going to be a hell of an opponent, firsthand. I mean, he's better than anybody in the world. I think he's a great opponent. So it'll be a tough match for Brian in his first match back. And it's, he's a great story too. I mean, you touched on it rather in a flippant way, but the way he came back from the accident, that's a true story. It's a true story. Jericho and I both, I didn't know him, but I heard about the story, and Jericho and I both donated to the GoFundMe. And I don't need, what you said, I think in the heat of battle is what you said, but it was a real situation. And he's got a lot of guts.
Yeah. He does.
He's
Okay.
the perfect opponent for Brian when he comes back as it,
Yeah, it's going to be a great match. Yeah.
Like I was saying, you guys are now dripped in gold, like when you're normally dripped in blood. It's gold this time.
Much
But
preferable.
what does it mean to be able to hold championships alongside so many other great wrestlers, and also to have the mentorship of William Regal, who's also obviously an amazing wrestler, amazing mentor? What does it mean to be able to have so much brotherhood in wrestling while maintaining and defending these championships?
To me, that brotherhood is what drives you. I talked about that earlier. That when you reach a goal, there's two choices. You can either just rest on your laurels or keep improving. And I always want to surround myself with people who push me to get better. And that's exactly what the Blackpool Combat Club does for me. Like anything I do, I have either William Regal or Marks or Yuda or Brian be like, well, I could have done this better, or maybe try this next time or do that. And that's what it's all about. That's what that brotherhood is. And it's awesome to have somebody like Yuda who is still so young and so incredibly good. Like, I think I told somebody that earlier. I was like, can't wait to see him in 6-7 years, because it's going to be, you know, hit his, like, that's when he's going to hit his prime. So it's just so much fun to be here and watch it, and hopefully help guide people like him in the right way. So to me, the Blackpool Combat Club is that brotherhood, and known all the guys for a long time, and Yuda for a month. But it feels like way longer. We actually have way more in common. So that's why it's so perfect.
Yeah, I think. Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, I think that the way that the Blackpool Combat Club has really taken like a genuine interest in helping me develop as a pro wrestler has just been incredible. Like being able to work with such great minds and always have, like you said, that feedback, that iron sharpens iron mentality of just making sure that we're all doing what we should do in the ring and just getting better and better every day has been invaluable. And to have this championship for me, kind of brings things full circle. I made my debut in Ring of Honor in the Pure Championship tournament when it was brought back after being retired for many years. I never got to hold it, never got to even challenge for it after I lost in the first round. And then I never really wrestled in front of a Ring of Honor crowd. My entire first duration was in front of no one. So being able to kind of bring that back full circle is really special.
You also debuted in Daly's place, right, as we were coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right, as we were getting fans back.
Yeah, I was on the last like long dark tapings of this. Yeah, it was really cool to be able to be back
started
here.
around then too. He had done a little bit, but you know, you guys, it was pretty amazing. Like I said, it's an amazing rivalry, and I have to say that you know, the match you had tonight was really special, and you've come a long way. And from when you first came to AEW to now, and then in Ring of Honor, from when you were in Ring of Honor previously to now, I think tonight you really showed how far you've come and why you're one of the most exciting young wrestlers in the world. Thank you very much, Wheeler.
Thank you.
It's our last question for Claudio and
Wheeler, about 18 months ago, you were the best kept secret in independent wrestling, and now here you are on worldwide pay-per-view Bleacher Report. What's that journey been like for you? How does that feel, knowing that you've, for intents and purposes, you're on the right track? Have you made it? Have you not made it? How do you feel after looking at where you were just 18 short months ago?
Yeah, it's been one hell of a ride for sure in the past few years. I went from being an independent wrestler during the pandemic, thinking that my career was over and that wrestling was dead forever and I'd be done and have to go get a real job. And then everything really turned around. Ring of Honor was the start of it for me, really. Ring of Honor, then New Japan Strong, and then, of course, AEW came around. And being able to have all of these opportunities is really special. And, like, the fact that AEW even exists, like, I should probably be on the independents for another, like, 5 to 10 years based on how like previously wrestling.
You're exactly where you need to be. So yeah,
Yes,
where
yes.
you should
But I'm
be.
I'm very happy that this exists, because without this, I have no idea where I'd be. Yeah. Well, I'd be working at Vitamin Shop in Philadelphia.
Is there one? I know. Is it one more? One more. Anybody? Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Steve Fall from NBC Sports Boston. Thanks you guys so much for putting on a great show tonight. Tony, will we ever see a unification between Ring of Honor and AEW Championship someday to just have a special on Dynamite? Because there's so many great specials when Dynamite pulls them out. Could we see something like that?
Well, I'm open to having some title unifications potentially. I think the champions have obligations on their different brands, different challengers, so it could be tough. I mean, potentially you could face a conflict, for example, at a big event where a champion, there might be two separate championship matches, two sets of contenders. So that's something I've been mindful of also, trying to keep the schedules manageable. You know, there has been some unifications in AEW right now. There are people carrying multiple championships, and it's happened before that people have carried multiple championships in AEW on more than one occasion. So it's something you could potentially see. I mean, certainly. And then even within the company, you saw tonight possibly some intent. And even outside the company too, because the people I saw you guys staring down have a lot of hardware. And I have to say that you know, it's certainly something you could see. And at Forbidden Door, you saw just recently where Claudio made his debut. Of course, Wheeler was involved in a great match to start the pay-per-view. That one didn't go your way, but tonight did. So I think you can look back at that now with a little levity and say that Forbidden Door was a great show. And we saw certainly some of those possibilities. And I think this week for the Forbidden Doors opening again, we're seeing, of course, Yamashita versus Thunder Rosa, of course. You saw some highlights of that, even in the commercials all over TBS and TNT. You're seeing highlights, Summer Sun Princess, Tokyo Joshi Pro a couple weeks ago, clips of that. And of course, on AEW Dark, we showed the full match for that Yamashita versus Thunder Rosa match in Japan, the Eliminator, with the upset Yamashita winning. And she'll be here at Fight for the Fallen. The Forbidden Doors open there. Of course, we saw many times over the Forbidden Door with Takeshita versus Moxley. And also now, ROH has won 10 straight matches across AEW, Ring of Honor, and Mexico. And with these 10 straight wins he's put together over some top competition, including Penta in his AEW debut, one of our top stars, former World Tag Team Champion, co-holder, and now tonight beating his brother, former two-time Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He's one of the hottest wrestlers in wrestling. So again, opening the Forbidden Door on Wednesday for that AEW Interim World Championship match. And of course, whoever wins that match will be in great position. Speaking of Ring of Honor, one of the Ring of Honor Hall of Famers, the AEW World Champion CM Punk is standing there as the AEW champion, and there'll be a unification match when he comes back. Whoever is the interim champion when Punk returns. So it's a great match. With former two-time Ring of Honor World Champion ROH versus the former AEW World Champion, the interim World Champion Jon Moxley. It'll be a great match at Fight for the Fallen. So Forbidden Doors open, a lot of champions across wrestling fighting each other. You never know. So it's definitely something we could see. And like I said, the Blackpool Combat Club had a big night tonight. Fight for the Fallen on Wednesday is going to be a big night. Yeah. And I really appreciate, I just can't say enough, you know, speaking of championships, the champions here, thank you very much. Both your matches were great, and congratulations to both of you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
First time world
Thank you.
champion. First time world champion. Great world champion.
Thank you.
Let's hear it for Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah.
Great match. Great match.
Thank you. That's our cue.
No. Thank you. I would stay with you all night. My friend.
Good times.
Thank you. That was great. I could. These guys would talk wrestling with us, and these ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. It's not that complex, is it?
I was about to say, this is like the greatest thing ever. And he's just like falling over. I don't know. He would probably trip over that cord as well.
He's over the top. Thanks, guys. Congratulations. Yeah, I'll take a question. We're gonna bring in another set of champs in a moment. I'll take a question. I can say that, like, real quick, just as a business briefing, Leo. This is we're approaching 25,000 buys digitally. We're well over 20,000, approaching 25,000. I may be over it, and just digitally. And when we get the cable and satellite buys, this will be one of the highest Ring of Honor pay-per-view buys in the history of the company in over 20 years of operating. And as I said, this is the fourth biggest live attendance. Of course, I was our first show we did, Supercard, was up there. This beat that by a big margin, and it was great. And so it is the number 4 all time in over 20 years of Ring of Honor events. And again, it is the highest ever for a non-WrestleMania weekend event. It's pretty cool. Thank you. I really show we can stand on our own. And thank you. Excuse me. Thank you.
No, it's your company. James Stewart, 98.5, the Sports Hub here in Boston. You mentioned CM Punk. Is there a timeline for his return, whether it's Chicago Labor Day weekend or when? Could you give us an injury update on him?
Well, he's doing well in his recovery. He was at the Comic-Con today. I didn't see his panel. Obviously, we saw that Bryan Danielson announced his return there, and not long after, of course, you saw that we confirmed it here again on Death Before Dishonor that it will be on Wednesday, Bryan Danielson returning from injury. But speaking of the Ring of Honor True Hall of Famers, CM Punk, the AEW World Champion, I don't know exactly what he said, but I know that he's doing well in his recovery. So I don't want to scoop anything he may have said at the Comic-Con panel. Well, so he's doing well. He's not behind in his recovery. So thanks, Nick. I wouldn't want to step on what he said, but the last we spoke, I haven't spoken to him since he did the panel. But going into the panel, he's doing well and on track. And we look forward to a great unification match when he's back, whoever the interim champion is. We'll see. I mean, I can't rule it out, but I also can't promise because I don't want to say anything when it comes to somebody's recovery from a real serious injury, and he's really battling hard to get back as soon as he possibly can. Thank you.
Hey, Tony, Liam again.
Hey.
Obviously a big seismic shift in the wrestling world recently, this being just about the second show since last night's SmackDown to air since everything that's changed. How did it feel to have a pay-per-view of this magnitude running an arena, 6,500 seats, when last year Death Before Dishonor did, the 2,300 arena, which was much smaller in capacity? How did it feel to run a pay-per-view this close after such a big change in the wrestling world with a lot more eyeballs on it, per se?
I really appreciate you asking. I think the big shift for us business-wise was, Ring of Honor and acquiring it and the transition to new management. And I really enjoyed running the last show. This, I had the final say booking, and we also took the revenue, but because we were in the process of finalizing the sale, it hadn't maybe 100% sunk in, and technically it hadn't 100% sunk in, even though it was binding and it was going to happen. It was like closing on a house. And so, but I was there doing the show, and I loved it, and I knew this was going to be so great. I had a good feeling going into this, and I love pro wrestling, and I know that there's real synergy, as I said on the media call, which I think you're on, for AEW and Ring of Honor. I believe that together they're stronger than if you add up the separate strengths of the companies. There's real synergy. Some of it's come across on the television. I also think here, what you've seen, we've been able to have a really successful few months for AEW since Ring of Honor relaunched, and with some involvement on AEW television. AEW's pay-per-view business is stronger than ever. We just had 2 pay-per-views already this summer, and Forbidden Door off to an amazing start, and Double or Nothing was our highest Double or Nothing yet, where we started our 4th one yet. It's gone up every year, each of the 4. And hopefully can continue the hot run of business. The last 4 pay-per-views we've done have been the hottest we've done, and I don't think it's any coincidence. It's since CM Punk arrived in AEW. And then while he's been injured, a lot of the great stars have helped continue the hot run of business. And Forbidden Door, I was frankly, I had to make a lot of changes on the run up. I've been super transparent with you all about it, and I think the changes we've done really well. And when the companies had such a great summer already, and I have something to look forward to now, with our world champion Punk returning as soon as he possibly can. And now we know Bryan Danielson's back Wednesday, and we have a lot of other great stars look forward to. We had Ring of Honor. We, here to have Samoa Joe make his return to the ring tonight and get the world television champion. Did you guys, hopefully you didn't, I don't know if you, hopefully that wasn't a skirmish in the hallway, but it's great. I heard some rattling. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, the Triple A Tag Team Champions, and the IWGP Heavyweight World Tag Team Champions, FTR. Congratulations.
Sorry, I'm sure. I just want to wear a shirt.
That's all right. Sorry. It's an emotional evening. For them, they do. But, I say they're handling it a lot better than Jay White.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Here we go.
Tony, can I follow up on one thing you just said before we get to FTR? Roosh and Dragon Lee. I know Lucha was such a big part of that last iteration of our Ring of Honor. That match was spectacular tonight. To go a little behind the scenes with us, how did you put that together?
I'm going to stay after they're done. I
Okay.
promise we'll get to it. Okay.
All right, perfect.
No,
Yeah.
this is cool. I don't want to waste the champ's time. Thank you. You totally understand, Justin,
Yeah.
please. Okay, thanks. I can tell you're cool. Thanks.
I'll ask one of the champs then. That's all right. Yeah. In terms of finally working so hard to get to where you wanted to be recognized as the best in the world, not just by your peers, but the crowd, by it seems like everyone. Has that sunk into you? I mean, again, to work for something for so long and to finally attain it, it's a unique feeling, right? What's that feeling like for you?
Well, did you hear the post-match promo? I think that's something I live with every day. And for so long, I was so afraid that we weren't, and personally, I wasn't going to be able to do something good for wrestling because it's done so much good for me. And
this year alone, thanks to Tony, has allowed me to do something good for wrestling and do something good for my family on top of that. And I don't think it'll ever set in. But I've always fought very, 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 very hard to make sure that we could, or to try to be able to leave something behind. And we talk about legacy, and it's such a buzzword now, but we do talk about it a lot. And to be able to do that this year alone means the world to me. I'm going to stop talking because I'll just start crying.
It's not something I don't think we'll ever get used to. And I said it Wednesday, but I meant it. Like it's unreal to me every week when we go out there. And I remember after a Supercard of Honor, we were going into Boston for the Young Bucks rematch. And I was thinking, if the crowd's half as good tonight for us as they were, or if they're half as good in Boston as they were in Dallas, we'll be okay. And we went out there and the crowd was just so behind us. I could not wrap my head around it. And then I was like, man, that was really cool. And then it's kept going and it hasn't stopped. And the scale that it's reached now, I don't know. It's overwhelming, but it's overwhelming in the best possible way.
Yeah. And I've said it a million times, like I can speak for myself. Being accepted and being loved and being wanted was something I didn't have for my whole life. And now millions of people around the world accept and love and party with us. And that means the world to me.
Gentlemen, Anthony Pyrus, PW Insider. Have you come to grips with your place in wrestling history at this point, being clearly a top 10 tag team of all time, given the hardware, given what you've done in the ring, out of the ring? Please tell me how you feel, knowing how the general public of wrestling fans feel about you.
I would say yes and no, and that you kind of answered your own question because you said top 10. And we want to be one. So we know we're not there yet, but we're not ever going to be satisfied with our place in wrestling history until we get to the top spot. And maybe we won't ever do that. But if we ever decide we're not going to keep trying to achieve that, why are we still doing this? Like this legit, like we will say it until the day we walk away. Like it saved our lives, both of us in different ways, but it has. And selfishly, I want to make sure that what it's given to us, we can give back to it, but that it never gets forgotten either. So until we're number one, or at least in that debate, I'm not satisfied.
Yeah. Being considered, like, I've said it a million times, Arn and Tully, the Hart Foundation, and the top of the list for me is Midnight Express. And I'm not even kidding. Dennis Condrey sent me a text today after the match telling me how much he loved the match. But to even just be in the conversation with those kinds of wrestlers, it blows my mind. I don't know if we'll ever reach the top, but we're going to work until we're going to work.
We'll give everything in our bodies until we're
until
done.
we can, try to get there. And if we don't, at least we fucking freaking tried, and at least we worked so hard to get there. And that's all we can do. But I appreciate you saying that. That means the world to me. Yeah, and we're going to keep going until we hopefully are number one. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Nick Hausman, Wrestling Inc. Dax, obviously you have a big bandage on your face there. Early in the match, it looked like something had happened where you went to the outside and there were some physicians checking on you. Can you just walk us through what happened there? And if you're dealing with anything here other than the thing on your face after the match?
It's just a mustache, man. Come on.
It's Saturday, so it depends on the day. I'm dealing with something different every day. Yeah, I mean, tonight, he gave me a Saito suplex, and that is a very, very, very dangerous move. Landed kind of high. I hurt my shoulder a while back at Forbidden Door, and the doc, he asked me before the match how I was feeling, and I told him the truth, and he said, "Okay, well, I just want to make sure everything's going to be okay for tonight." He did all the tests and everything's cool. But as soon as that happened, he just took it upon himself to come and check and make sure that the shoulder and, the labrum and all my neck and everything was cool. And it's a physical sport, but I'm okay. I'm okay on Saturday night. So ask me tomorrow morning and we'll see,
Hi, my name is Jay Shell. I'm representing a bunch of different companies. I'm not going to say their names anymore. But I do want to talk a little bit about mental health in wrestling. Obviously, you guys are dealing with a lot of stress, pressure, anxiety to top the last match that you guys just had. How are you guys able to deal with that and overcome all of those things?
Man, whew. I don't know. Honestly, I have a great support system at home, and I think that's the number one thing. And I think the number one thing for mental health and anxiety is to admit it that you have it. And the generation before us never did that, especially men. Especially stupid Southern men. Like my dad would never in a million years admit something was wrong. When I told him last year what I was going through, and I said, I think I'm going to see a therapist. And he was like, "What? Why do you want to see a therapist?" I'm like, "Well, because I want to try to get better." And he said, "But do you feel like you're going crazy?" I'm like, "No, like I just want to get better." So they don't understand. That generation does, and this generation we're figuring it out as well. But to top the last match, yeah, there's a ton of anxiety there. But I was secure in our abilities, and I was secure in their abilities as well. That we may not top that last match, and that's okay. That's fine with me. But I knew it was going to be a very, very physical match, and I knew we were going to try to. And I knew the hard work from the was going to be appreciated by the Boston crowd. So for me, after what I've gone through the last a year ago, the anxiety of a wrestling match is nothing anymore. The anxiety of life is way far more. It's just harder, not even just as a wrestler or a man, but as a human being. Man, like look at the stuff we deal with, every day. Every single day you see something different, and it's all freaking scary, but we have to admit to ourselves that we all need help. We all need a support system, whether that's a family or whether it's a friend or whether it's a therapist. I'm on Zoloft. I am talking to a therapist, and I'm very proud of that because I've come out on the other side, and that's the stuff we need to talk about. Wrestling anxiety, wrestling is whatever. Life anxiety is what we need to talk about,
Yeah, I think more than anything now, like, I feel more comfortable than ever because the crowd has kind of let us know that they appreciate what we do. So it gives us that comfort going into a match, knowing, okay, like we can do what our minds are thinking. And for the most part, these fans are going to follow along with us. Like they're going to enjoy this. They're really letting us know how much they appreciate the hard work. So like that part makes it a little easier. But like you were saying, there is a lot of stress that comes with it. But with our platform, I think not just talking about the wrestling stress, talking about the life stress is a huge thing for everybody because pre-pandemic it was bad, but during the pandemic you saw or you heard a lot of people, loved ones, friends, family, strangers that were going through something, and I think they felt shame. They didn't want to speak about it. Having a guy like Dax who went through what he went through last year and now being so vocal about it, I think that is a huge plus for mental health and for the advocacy of it and for getting help and knowing that there's no shame, there's no stigma. There isn't. Like, and if there is, we'll beat the shit out of them.
Graham Matthews with Bleacher Report. Tag team main event tonight. Tag team title pay-per-view main event. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw that. Maybe it happened recently. I don't know. But talk a little bit about that to the point where tag team wrestling has been elevated. Tony, you as well. Putting a tag team title match in the main event of a pay-per-view, no less. First time probably in the last decade plus. Again, I'm not sure. But just what that speaks to the volumes of where tag team wrestling is with you guys right now and just in wrestling in general.
Yeah, for us, obviously it's pretty well documented. The what we went through in 2019 and the reason we wanted to leave. The crazy thing is some people still like shame us because we wanted to better not just ourselves but tag team wrestling. And I didn't even realize it today until I said to him, I said, "Oh my God, we're the main event! Like I can't believe that. It didn't even register to me because it's all been such a whirlwind this year." But to be able to take tag team wrestling and be the main event and humbly speaking, please, to be like the draw of the show, man, that's the stuff that we worked for. Even if we throw tag team wrestling out the door, that's the stuff that we worked for. That's where we wanted to go. And that's the stuff that we want to do. And that's the legacy we want to leave behind. and we went 48 minutes tonight or whatever it was. And, you know, that was, that's the stuff that's important to me for wrestling in my legacy.
I'm very proud of our entire career. Like the stuff we did before we were a tag team, but especially since we've become a tag team, what we've been able to accomplish at all phases in different times. But what we've been able to do the past 2 years to be able to help tag team wrestling get back into a spotlight, to become buzzed about, to be one of the most talked about or anticipated matches on any show. Think about that a couple of years ago, and it wasn't happening. And now 2 non-makeshift tag teams, 2 actual legitimate long-term tag teams are main eventing a pay-per-view for tag team titles. And I take a lot of pride, and like you were saying, humbly, I feel like we've really helped spearhead that, because we will beat the drum every day about tag team wrestling and what we perceive it can be and what we perceive we bring to it. So yeah, I want it to be spotlighted. I want it to be a main event. I want it to be the match that people are looking forward to every single week, every single show. And tonight, that was just another insane thing we can check off the list now, because we've never main evented a show as a tag team, especially not against another actual tag team. So it's one more step again for what we want tag team wrestling to be, but we're not done yet. We have a lot more we want tag team wrestling to be, and we'll keep being little assholes until we get it there.
Not to you, though. I'll stop being an asshole to you.
You're doing great. We have a great run.
Yeah.
You're not sweating at all either.
I know. God dang, dude.
So last 2 questions, Mike and Steve.
Thank you. Mike Riley, 98.5 Sports Hub in Boston. And you guys talking about the main event there, tag team, to close out a pay-per-view. 2 out of 3 falls, amazing. Some people already calling that potential match of the year candidate. It is in my bucket right there, guys. But the after match celebration too. And who was that youngster up there? Can you share who that was? Any idea? No idea. I don't know if there was.
His
any
name's
significance there.
Austin.
Yeah,
Never
his
met him
name's
until
Austin.
tonight, but
okay.
Yeah, he just had a sign that said, "I'm FTR's #1 fan," which is crazy because he was wearing a Blackpool Combat Club shirt, but whatever. But yeah, he was holding a sign that said he was FTR's #1 fan, and I don't know, man. Like I said earlier, I went through life not knowing if people loved me and liked me. You know, I had a great childhood, and my parents were great, and they worked their butts off. But I don't think I knew exactly what love was, you know. And when I see families out there, I try to watch my mouth as much as I can. But when I see families out there, like, it brings joy to me, because that, like I said, that's the only time that I can remember me and my dad and enjoying the time together was watching wrestling. And that's what wrestling is all about. Is allowing. It's about emotion, and it's about making people feel a certain way. But also, man, it's about having that connection. And if we can bring families together, man, that means the world to me. So this little kid, you know, he had his sign and said he was FTR's #1 fan. And I went out there and I wanted to at least try to make this night something that, you know, he remembers for quite a while. Because who knows, maybe he might not ever be able to come back to another wrestling show, or he may not, you know, get out too much. But if he got out just tonight, if tonight was the one night that he got out and got to hang out with his mom, then I wanted to make it the best night possible.
yeah, I think it goes back to some of the things we touched on earlier in the interview, like with mental health and with wrestling being an escape for people. And the mental health aspect of it is it's moments and it's memories, and it's making people forget about everything going on outside and everybody being stressed out or whatever you're dealing with. You can come here and you can just press pause, and you can escape, and you can have fun. And hopefully that's a moment and a memory that Austin will never forget. But also, like, the crowd tonight, when he got in there, everybody was happy with him.
Yeah.
And everybody's cheering for him. And I'm getting stupid goosebumps right now because of it.
Like, yeah, what if that happened? You know, what if he raised his hands on the ropes and all these people freaked out, and in his mind he's like, man, they like me. These people like me. You know, that's something I didn't feel very much. And maybe tonight was the one night he felt that. And that's
like, everybody in that building had one purpose, and it's to have fun. And especially when he got in the ring, was to make him feel welcomed and to make sure that he knew, like, there was a cool moment. And like, to sit there and have like a conversation with him, to hear like his excitement, and to see his mom's face when we took him back over, like, that's what it's all about. Like, it's not about like, this is cool, yes, like, this is cool, yes, but at the end of the day, like, when I was his age and I had nothing to look forward to, that would have been really fucking cool.
And this is the only major sporting company in the world that would do that. I promise you. Everyone else would be afraid to get sued or whatever, you know.
I'm not crying either.
Last question for the champs.
All right, I'm Steve from NBC Sports Boston. Everyone compares you to the greatest tag teams of all time, but is it hard for you to admit that you are one of the greatest tag teams of all time? Because obviously, humbly, you want to say, "Oh, we're not." Maybe, but at the same time, a lot of people compare you to like the Hart Foundation you brought up earlier. Is it hard for you to actually sit down and go, "You know what? We are one of the greatest tag teams of all time"?
When I'm just talking to him, no, no. I don't know. I don't think I've honestly, if we're being honest about it, I don't think I've ever sat down and thought about, you know, are we the greatest of all time? Are we one of the greatest of all time? Are we Mount Rushmore material? You know, I don't know if I've ever thought about that. The things I think about is when Bret Hart texts me or Dennis Conner